It was an ordinary Tuesday evening, the kind of evening that dissolves into the background of your memory before it even ends. The sky was a dull gray, heavy with leftover winter clouds. The air carried that metallic chill that settles into your bones after sunset. I had just pulled into my usual parking spot outside my apartment building, a narrow strip of cracked pavement beneath a flickering streetlight that buzzed like a tired insect. I turned off the engine. For a moment, there was silence. No music, no traffic, just the faint hum of distant city life. Then I saw it. A small white rectangle tucked beneath my windshield wiper. At first, I assumed it was a parking ticket. Mild annoyance. A sigh. A routine inconvenience. I stepped out, the cold biting into my hands as I reached forward and pulled the paper free. It wasn't official. It wasn't printed. It was handwritten. In thick, deliberate black ink. I see you every day. That was it. No name, no smiley face, no explanation, just 5 words. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like gravity had doubled. A cold wave washed through my chest and down my spine. My fingers trembled. Not violently, just enough to make the paper quiver. The streetlight flickered again. Suddenly, everything felt different. The empty street no longer looked empty. The dark windows of the apartment building across from mine didn't look dark anymore. They looked like eyes, watching. The shift from normal to hyper-aware. Until that moment, my life had been beautifully mundane. Wake up, work, gym, groceries, home, repeat, predictable, safe. But those 5 words shattered something invisible, the illusion of privacy. I see you every day. Who sees me? From where? For how long and why? I scan the parking lot. 3 other cars. No one inside them. No footsteps echoing behind me. No movement in the shadows. But the feeling had already taken root. I was no longer just standing in a parking lot. I was standing on a stage, and somewhere in the dark, someone was in the audience. The unseen observer that night. I didn't sleep. Every creak in the building felt intentional. Every passing car sounded like it slowed down near my window. I got up at 2:17 a.m. and checked the people. Nothing. At 3:42 a.m. I checked again. Still nothing. But the absence of someone visible didn't comfort me. It amplified the fear. Because if someone truly sees you every day, they don't need to be close. They just need a clear view. The next morning, I caught myself glancing over my shoulder while brushing my teeth. At the gym, I avoided mirrors because mirrors meant reflections, and reflections meant blind spots. At work, I noticed a man in a gray jacket sitting at the cafe across the street. Was he there yesterday? I couldn't remember, and that terrified me more than if I had. The psychological toll privacy is something you don't appreciate until it feels stolen. Before the note, I never thought twice about leaving my curtains open. Now, they stayed shut. Before the note, I took the same route to work every day. Now I changed streets, varied departure times, even altered my morning coffee spot. My world became smaller, tighter, constricted by suspicion. Every parked car with tinted windows became a surveillance van. Every stranger holding a phone was potentially recording. I began replaying memories, searching for clues. Had anyone stared too long at the grocery store? Had I noticed the same vehicle near my building more than once? And then came the worst part, the self-doubt. Was I overreacting? Was this a prank? Or was that exactly what someone wanted me to think? Security measures. By the 3rd day, I installed a dash cam. By the 4th, I ordered a doorbell camera. By the 5th, I had informed 2 close friends and my brother. I even began documenting everything: dates, times, unfamiliar faces, unusual events. Then small things started happening. Minor, ambiguous, but enough to stir the paranoia. One morning, my car seat was slightly reclined. I never recline it. Had I adjusted it absent-mindedly, or had someone been inside? A week later, I noticed a silver sedan parked across from my building 3 nights in a row. Coincidence or pattern? On Thursday evening, while taking out the trash, I felt it again, that unmistakable sensation of being watched. You know the one. That instinctive tightening in your chest. I looked up. In the third-floor window of the building opposite mine, a curtain shifted. Just slightly. Maybe it was wind, but the windows were closed. The dilemma, police or silence. I considered going to the police. But what would I say? Someone left a note. That's not a crime. There were no threats, no vandalism, no physical harm. Just words. And yet, words can dismantle peace more efficiently than violence. If I reported it, would they take me seriously? Or would I become another overreacting citizen in a world full of actual emergencies? But if I didn't report it, and something happened, would I regret staying silent? Fear of embarrassment wrestled with fear of danger. In the end, I filed a non-emergency report. The officer was calm, professional. Probably a prank, he said gently. Probably. That word echoed in my mind for days. Broader implications. We live in an era of constant surveillance. Smart doorbells, traffic cameras, facial recognition, data tracking, our locations logged, our searches recorded, our lives mapped in digital footprints. The irony, we fear being watched by strangers, yet we voluntarily invite observation into our homes. So when I found that note, it tapped into something deeper than personal fear. It touched a cultural anxiety, the realization that anonymity is fragile, that someone can observe you without ever interacting with you, that visibility doesn't require consent. Shared fear stories of stalkers and obsessive watchers flood news headlines. Urban legends whisper of the smiling man seen at bus stops. Neighborhood groups trade warnings about suspicious vans. True crime podcasts thrive on cases that began exactly like this: a note, a feeling, a subtle pattern. I began reading comment threads online. Strangers shared eerily similar stories. Notes on windshields, anonymous messages, being followed. Some ended harmlessly, others didn't. And the uncertainty, that spectrum between prank and predator, is what unsettles the mind most. Because humans crave closure, and this had none. Escalation: 2 weeks after the note, something changed. I came home later than usual. The street light above my parking spot was off, not flickering, dead. The bulb had finally burned out. Darkness pooled around my car like ink. My pulse quickened. I parked anyway. As I stepped out, I saw it. Another piece of paper, this one taped to my driver's side window. My breath froze in my throat. I peeled it off slowly. The same handwriting. "I like your new wrote." That was when fear became something heavier, because it meant two things. One, they noticed my changes. Two, they were close enough to observe them. My chest tightened. My throat went dry. This wasn't random. This wasn't casual. This was intentional. The breaking point that night. I didn't just close the curtains. I pushed furniture against the door. I called my brother and told him everything. This time I went to the police again. And this time they listened differently. The officer examined the note carefully. Gloves, evidence bag, questions. Anyone with access to your schedule? Recent conflicts? Ex-partners? I answered no to all, because the truth was scarier. I had no obvious enemy, no suspect, which meant the watcher could be anyone. The lingering questions: security cameras now monitor my door, my car, the parking lot. So far, nothing clear, just shadows, passing cars, static noise. But the note stopped. It's been 3 weeks. No new messages, no visible surveillance, and yet the feeling hasn't left. Sometimes I catch myself pausing mid-step, listening. Sometimes I look at strangers a second longer than socially acceptable. Sometimes I wonder if the silence is temporary, if the watcher is simply waiting. Because the most chilling part of all this isn't the notes, it's the possibility that they were telling the truth, that someone does see me every day, and maybe always has. What was the message? Was it a threat, a warning, an attempt at control, or something even more unsettling? A reminder that in today's world, observation is effortless. Cameras line streets, neighbors peek through blinds. Algorithms track our habits. We are seen more than we realize. Perhaps the note wasn't just personal. Perhaps it was symbolic, a reflection of modern existence. You are visible, even when you think you're alone. Final reflection. I still park under that broken streetlight. It hasn't been fixed. Sometimes I stand there for an extra moment before going inside, listening, scanning windows, searching shadows, and every now and then a question surfaces. If someone truly sees you every day, how long would it take before you noticed? Because the line between anonymity and exposure is thinner than we believe. And somewhere, right now, someone might be watching. Not close enough to touch, not loud enough to hear, just distant enough to remain unseen. And that is the part that never stops being terrifying.